What's going on, family? This is your girl, Michelle Pierre. We are back. We are back. We are back. So, hey, the last time that we spoke with Dr. Omar Simpson, I had you guys do a poll. And in that poll, you asked for a few different things. And one of those things was to talk about self-care. And so, as you asked for, we have delivered. And we have the beautiful Tanieka here with us today. Tanieka was with us before. Yeah, hey, girl. But Tanieka was here with us before, one of our first guests on our podcast, and it was just so amazing to have her here. And so that was in March of 2022. So boom, fast forward ahead. Here we are in June of 2023. And she was just so phenomenal that we had to bring her back. So Tanieka, I'd like you to introduce yourself if you could. Let us know, what are you doing in this world? I know you have some titles here, and I'm going to throw those titles out. So she is an actress, a producer, and an entrepreneur. So tell us, what does that mean? And so what's new with you right now?
Hey world, hey people. All right. So it is an honor. First of all, thank you again for having me on again. It's such an honor, and yeah, I don't take it lightly at all. Thank you for giving us platforms to speak and tell our stories. Thank you. So I am, as he said, an actress, an entrepreneur, and a producer. And so currently I am happy to just share that I have 2 films that I'm in, that I played a role in on Prime, streaming on Prime Video. So that is, one is called Just My Type. And that's the most recent Just My Type, because I think there's 2 on there. And the other one is called Bae Night, like your bae, my bae, bae. That was called Bae Night, and I do have a scene in there as well. So I'm excited about that. It's been a very interesting journey getting there, and so yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah, we are still working on getting the documentary that I co-produced out there. It's called Taking Innocence. So you'll be seeing that soon. Look out. Yep. Really, really well. Yeah. So that's kind of what I've been up to, amongst other things.
Okay, very good. So what about the entrepreneurial side of the house?
So on the entrepreneurial side, it's been in the trafficking space, and in the nonprofit space. So I've been doing some there as well as wellness coaching and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great, because obviously what we're talking about today is self-care. So definitely want to hear about what's happening in this wellness space. And folks who are following us on Instagram, probably at the beginning of the week, maybe it was the end of last week, I posted a definition of self-care. So I have 2 definitions for you guys today, but I'm just going to read the first one because I know you all are familiar with it. So self-care, it's a noun, right? Supposedly, in this definition that I found, the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health. And so from there, I want to just kind of pivot back to you, Tanieka. And, a lot of times we have women on this show. The things that we talk about is about women. Men, it's not exclusively for women, but just because of where our hearts are at and the things that seem to be in the media nowadays, women is kind of where Espresso Unicorn has been leaning into to kind of give some additional help and guidance and support. And so what we're going to talk about mostly is self-care for women. So Tanieka, if you could kind of help us understand, what does that really mean for women, and how have you seen that in your own life?
Yeah, so it's been something that has been evolving, I think, in my life. I've been in this space for quite some time. I started out as a massage therapist, and you know what, and to be honest with you, even back before, when I was just doing real estate, I mean, you're around a lot of people, and I think self-care is exactly what you defined it as, and I'm learning that more and more every day as I evolve in embracing it. So it's taking action and being intentional about your mental health, your body, holistically, every part of you, because we are comprised of spirit, soul, body, mind. You know what I mean? So we are multifaceted beings, and God made us that way, and
Absolutely.
especially, and it's also sacred. And so yeah, so it's just being intentional about that. I think sometimes we just take ourselves for granted because we're in our own bodies, and we don't remember the value that we hold, and so we just sometimes abuse it, or sometimes neglect it, if not abusing it, which is also abuse.
Right.
But yeah.
But what do you tell somebody who doesn't understand what self-care is? If they didn't see their mom doing it, if they don't have a circle of women who talk about it, and then, oh, by the way, society sometimes make us feel bad for taking care of ourselves because we're not doing what a woman should be doing, which is taking care of everybody else and then putting ourselves last. So how do you approach that?
Yeah. So, and I think that is the reason why there's so much emphasis on us putting self-care predominantly on women, because as women, we do, give out, and not to say that men don't, but we do give out, we nurture, we support, and a lot of times we do leave ourselves kind of, neglected. So what I would say to someone who probably doesn't know what self-care is progression. And the reason why I say that, and the reason that I've come to that conclusion over time, is that self-care, even in media, like social media and in Hollywood, just looks like beauty. Looking good, going to the spa, getting your nails done, getting your hair done, all of that stuff, and that's a part of it. It definitely is. I don't leave that out at all. But it's about progress. It's not about comparing yourself to anyone else. It's not about anything superficial. It's about holistically making progress. And when I say holistically, that's, again, every part of you making progress in your mental health, being self-aware, right? Because that's, I guess I skipped that. So that's the first step. Being self-aware so that you know what's going on with you, where you are, your state of being, and then doing what's necessary, taking action to progress in that. So seeing growth, meaning that you're not staying stagnant. If you see something that you need to fix, if you need to work out more, if you need to eat right, that's making small steps in the right direction and making progress, right? So just not just leaving it by the wayside, not just leaving yourself, just carefree in that way, but really seeing progress and celebrating your small wins, because that's a part of it too. So celebrating your small wins. If you've made progress in an area, celebrate that, and don't beat up on yourself and compare yourself. And I think I want to just emphasize on that, because I think with the times that we live in now, it's really, really, really easy to compare ourselves or compare our progress to someone else's progress. And you are individual, that's why we have an individual DNA, we wake up every day, we have different thoughts, we have different pursuits, we have a different family lifestyle. And there's just no way, no matter how similar you are to someone else, that your story can be the exact same. You're going to have similarities, but embrace your journey, embrace your personal journey and who God made you to be personally, and show up in this world.
Yeah, no, that was good. And I'm glad you hit on kind of the, I guess, the fascination or the propaganda that we see a lot of times with self-care. And essentially what comes along with that is self-care is expensive, right? because nails done, hair done, massages, X, Y, and Z, all of these different things, some excursion vacation on an island that nobody can pronounce, so
Yeah.
all of these things that, we see in the media, and, and it's all propaganda. It's all a way to make us want, right? It taps into some of our deepest desires and makes us feel like we're missing out on something. So therefore now we're breaking our neck to go do this thing and then probably get there and not even be fulfilled because
Yeah.
we went through so much stress and just hectic space to even get to this island or whatever it is. So no, that's good, because also as I think about the vodcast that we're doing here, this vodcast is not necessarily for people who have arrived, people who are at their self-actualization, who are, making and doing all the things that they've ever dreamt of in their lives. This is for people who are still striving, people who are still wanting to learn and to grow, and who need to learn and grow. And so a
Yeah.
lot of times when we think about that, it's a lower socioeconomic space that we're talking about for our audience that we have here. And so we need to be practical about, the different things that we tell our audience, because it needs to be something that they can actually apply to their lives. So as we think about it from that aspect, and that's not saying everybody that's out there that you can't go get your nails done and you can't go do all of these things. But the main thing is that should not be the pinnacle of what it means for self-care. You have to figure out for yourself what that means for you, and also understand when you add another layer of financial obligation on top of it, that it just increases your stress, which therefore now causes that self-care, right, to spin downward again. So what for you, Tanieka, what are some of those things that you think that people could do that are a little less financially obligating, but have definite effects on your mental health, your stability, and just your space in which you show up in every day?
Yeah. So to speak to that, going back to being self-aware, that's important, because when you're self-aware, and when I say self-aware, again, that just means being aware of, just to elaborate on it a little more, being aware of you as an individual, what you like, what you dislike, how you feel inside, what triggers you, and not focusing on the negative, because sometimes we are very aware of all the negative things.
Yes.
And sometimes we give too much attention to those things, and when wherever focus goes, energy flows, right? And so you're gonna have negative results if you keep focusing on like those negative things, those negative feelings, and allow, you just harbor them. So being self-aware helps you to recognize what works for you. And so just to be practical, one of the things that I've decided to do as of I think it was 2022, I had decided that, you know what, I'm just gonna dance more often. I'm gonna dance. It makes me feel alive. It makes me feel good. It puts me in this positive space. And I'm just going to be intentional about like making sure I have some good music and I dance, because music does alter your mood. You don't really have to pay for it.
Yeah.
You can get it on YouTube, you can get it on Spotify, Pandora, whatever it is, the free playlist. And yeah, you just decide a thing and you be intentional about doing it. So again, that's one thing, dancing. And then another thing, the main thing, how could I forget, that I do, first thing, I wake up in the morning. I know some people have their morning rituals, and a lot of people say that they are thankful, or they say the things that they're thankful for. That for me, I gotta thank God for waking me up. As much as we try to be self-sufficient and, think that we do everything by ourselves, listen. People have autoimmune diseases. Anything can happen, and we are not in control. That's a fallacy. And so when I wake up in the morning, I thank God for waking me up. because it's only by his grace that I'm alive and awake. And then I spend time with Jesus, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because he keeps me sane in this crazy world. He does. And, even before the world got so crazy, COVID and just different things being uncovered the way that they are right. Even before that, it was, he keeps me sane. He keeps me sane. He reminds me of my potential. And I'm able to go out and accomplish things that I never knew possible because of that. So that's free. Nothing that you need to pay for as well. Whatever you believe, you believe, but that's something practical as well. So those are a couple of things. The aroma around you, that's something that if you're into smells, just creating an atmosphere around you that smells good. So when you play your music, you can light a candle. You can, if you have essential oils, just making small steps that don't cost a lot, but make you feel good. You can do a lot more and you can accomplish more.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. So dancing, and I got to give a shout out to Courtney of the Free ID Project. So she would love to hear that all you do is turn up your dancing and you can kind of change your mood, because she is all about that. But then also spending time with your higher power that you believe in. Amazing. And then the smells around you. And that's kind of a segue into one of the things that I was going to say is, getting outdoors, right? Because getting outdoors, the smells that you bring in, look, if you're in the city, I'm sorry, but you could put a mask on or something. But I'm more so talking about like the smell of trees and grass and, and things like that. And I know I'm down in the city. I'm a city girl as well, but I do like my outdoors. But even in the city, you walk out sometimes and maybe it's a fresh bakery. Like if you go out early enough, maybe it's another smell that connects you back to, some happy thoughts or a space that you were in, whatever that is for you. But finding what that thing is or those things are, because a lot of times it's not just going to be one thing. Finding those things that you can elevate and you can use that are economically feasible, that puts you in a very different state of mind. Working out is another thing, right? So, whether it's a running or it's a walking, whatever that may look like, getting on a bike, going to the beach and putting your feet in the sand, right? So Miami girl over here.
That is so therapeutic.
Yes. And so we bring all of these things up, not to say that you have to do any of these things, but to say that each of us are different. Our desires are different. The things that causes our mindset to shift into a more positive space, it's different. But the only way you know that is if you're self-aware, going back to what Tanieka has already talked about. So self-aware of kind of where your emotions are at, as well as how your body is feeling. Is it tense? Is it hurting somewhere? But then also understanding, like, when you see those things, what are the coping mechanisms? What are the therapeutic things that you need to do in order to pull yourself out of whatever that thing is? So that's the whole reason why we're sharing all of those. And because I wish I was on a beach right now. No, I know.
I went there immediately.
What was that?
I said, you said that and my mind went there immediately.
Like if you're a beach person, a mountain person, like it doesn't take much. It's just like, you automatically transfer your mental energy to that space. So
Yep.
Yeah.
And it is scientific studies have shown that, like, when you get outside, you're in nature, it does something great for us. So yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And that's exactly what I was hitting on, just that elevation there. Okay, so Tanieka, lovely lady, my friend.
Yes.
Is there anything? Yes. Yes. Is there anything else that you want to share with us as it relates to self-care? And we kind of talked about this before, and I kind of gave a plug that most of what we were going to talk about was about women. But I think I want to hit on what have you seen in the past for self-care for men? So I know that was one of the things that we kind of talked about.
Yeah, we did. So with self-care for men, it's very interesting. For men, what I've heard a lot of and actually seen and experienced, you know, in just, personal relationships and things like that, men suppress a lot and repress a lot, and I think that they've felt for so long, as I've heard men express, that they have not had an outlet or a space to really just express and just release what they're feeling. Because as men, they're taught to just be strong, carry it all, the weight of the world on their shoulders. And we're not made to do that. I'm not sure where that started. But you can be strong, and there's strength in vulnerability. And I've actually heard a man say that, but the reality is, men talk about it, but sometimes I think they have a hard time actually executing that. And that's a huge part of self-care. Because if you have all of this stuff just stuffed inside you and you don't deal with it, it's going to come out. It's going to come out in your relationships. It's going to come out in the things that you do. And a lot of men escape in their work. And that's something else that I've seen, but it comes out. And so I think that's what I've seen with men in self-care. And as a result of that, there's some insecurities that lie there because they never deal with their past traumas, their, just history of just hurt. And so it just builds and builds and builds. And I think for the men out there, again, be intentional. I think because our society and culture kind of, tells you that you need to just be strong and just hold on to everything. I think it's more important for you as men, especially because, men are leaders and protectors. And we don't talk about that as much today, I think, as much as we used to. You know what I mean? It's all about women being strong, and that's cool too. I love that. But I think men are naturally leaders and protectors, and not to add more pressure or put more weight on your shoulder, but I think that's all the more reason to go out and just be intentional about caring for yourself, taking action with your self-care, and just making sure you have an outlet and that you're able to release. And I just actually, I hope I'm able to say that, because I know a lot of men just feel like that's the be all and all, but no. There's too much emphasis on that too, I think. That doesn't solve, sometimes in a lot of cases, that adds to a lot of problems. But anyway, that's my rant.
Okay. No worries. And as you were speaking about that, so kind of going back to who we are as women, right? We take care of everybody else. I think over the years, what may have happened or is happening is that because this focus on women, there is a lack of focus on men, right? And I'm not saying that should necessarily change, but we also had households a lot of times that were, let's just call it the nuclear family, right? So the organic type household that, at least in America, that we thought was the norm, right? And so a lot of that ability to kind of talk about some of the issues that were going on were happening at the kitchen table, was happening in the bedroom, was, happening in these spaces of comfort.
Yeah.
Well, We have a lot of broken families. We have a lot of people who are constantly on the go because we're just such a busy society. Like it never stops. And so when you have that, it makes it even harder for men to have an outlet because they don't want to be seen as weak, right? You have this new person in your life, like you're not going to spill the beans to this person as you're out here dating and doing, all of these different things. And so I think there's a space too where us as women, we have a responsibility to allow men to have that outlet as well, to allow our sons, to allow our brothers to be able to have an outlet and not continue to perpetuate this this norm that is really it's not a norm anymore, because our society has changed, but we're still holding on to past and thinking that there's a space for them to really reveal themselves. And even though I know that wasn't 100% either, but it was still a safe space that man could say or convey what some of those deeper feelings were that he couldn't do at work or with the boys. So
yeah. I'm so glad you interject just a moment, because I was just right on that thought. You said something and that just hit me. You said it's our responsibility as women to create that safe space. That just, it did something to me, and it's because my heart goes out to men. It really does. It really, really does. I know we have our struggles as women, but my heart goes out to men because I've heard from men when they're dating women that, like, if they cry, the woman's like, "Are you crying? Like, toughen up." I seen a recent episode of Love is Blind, and one of the women on the show was telling her guy was like catering to her, rolling out the red carpet, etc., and she was telling him, like, you need to man up, you need to, and nothing he was doing was feminine, at least from my point of view, or anything like that. He was like being a man. But she needed to man up, and a lot of it had to do with her own personal trauma. So just as an example, but as women, we really got to do better with that, like creating a safe space for men to show up in this world too.
And to love us as women. And and I get into debates about this because I not that I'm going to go into my past, but I've lived a very tomboyish life, let's just call it that way, and I love it, right? I love being out there and doing things that are hard, doing things that are stereotypically what a man would do. However, I love being a woman, right? I love a man opening the door for me, actually seeing me as a woman, seeing me as a beautiful Black woman, despite me doing those hard things that are still within the realm of what he may do, and that whole man up thing, like, what does that even mean? Man up.
Right.
So yeah, ladies, I'm looking at the camera directly. Get it together. There's tons of men out here who want to love you, who want to care for you, but if we don't have our own mental space straight and our own desires and wants straight, where we're not in this conflict of one day I want to be this and one day I want to be that, we're going to continue to have this struggle and this fight back and forth. And all of this goes back to self-care. I truly believe it all goes back to self-care, being self-aware, and understanding the space that we take up and the space in which we want to be at. So that's my 2 cents of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
but thank you.
Powerfully spoken. And I'm glad you
absolutely. But no, Tanieka, this has been amazing to have you on. And like we do with all of our vodcasts and podcasts, I always like to give the last few, seconds to our speaker. If there's anything that you want to leave with people, to make sure that if they don't take anything away from this podcast, this is the one thing that they take away, and they lock it in their, as we call it, their toolkit, right? So they can pull it out and use whenever they want. And then also, if there's anything else that you want to share with us that we should be looking for, that you're doing out there, so we can support you and love on you. So the floor is yours, Tanieka.
Thank you. So I remembered one thing that I left out, but I guess it's fitting for this part of where we are. So planning is so important in self-care, and take it from someone who is spontaneous, who has in the past been impulsive and just, go with the flow. Whatever happens. I was always into self-care and intentional about it, but I was also spontaneous and impulsive, and there's nothing wrong with that, except when it impedes on your self-care. And so what I mean by that is, if you don't plan things, plan ahead, and, just be intentional about planning, you can find yourself just running all over the place and rushing and forgetting things and neglecting you, and that's why a lot of us don't stay hydrated, and we just burn out. So as trivial as that might seem to some, I know some people are in that space where they know it's important to plan, and they've been doing it all their lives, and they're planners and they're in control. But from someone who, like me, who has historically just been spontaneous, impulsive, it can be good, but it's bad when it impedes on your self-care, and that's something to be very, very intentional about, especially in our culture. So be more intentional about planning to do those things that and even having the forethought and being proactive in your thinking. So what I mean by that is, like we spoke about earlier. So if you know that you're triggered by something, have a plan in place. Like, okay, and that might not always work, but at least you have a go-to. You have something that you go to. So if you're triggered, to do this. If you're feeling something in your body, okay, I need to go write, I need to go journal, or I need to, whatever it is, have a plan in place so that you can just become better. We're always becoming. No one has ever arrived. I mean, Michelle Obama wrote a book on becoming.
Yeah.
So embrace the journey, have fun on the journey, and be positive along the way. Love on yourself. That's what self-care is, self-love as well. So love on yourself, and then you'll be able to love.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can't effectively take care of other people if you haven't taken care of yourself, right?
Yep.
And practice makes permanence.
Yes.
Right? Over and over again. That's how you get it deep into your soul, where when those triggers happen, you don't even have to think about it. You just immediately do it, because you have practiced that over time to not be triggered by whatever this thing. And so you can effectively say that is no longer a trigger.
Yes.
But that takes work. We take work. We're complex beings, right?
Yes.
So very good. Thank you so much, Tanieka. So I'd like to leave you guys with the last definition, what I was telling you about before. And this is from the World Health Organization. And the reason why I'm reading it from the World Health Organization is just so you can kind of understand that self-care is not this taboo phrase, this term that when it really came out, it was just like, oh, what does that mean? Oh, you want to just go pamper yourself. No, it's not that. There is research that talks about why self-care is needed and what it does to our body, or fails to do for our body and our minds, if we do not take intentional practice of ensuring that self-care is a part of our existence. And so, definition: self-care is the ability of individuals, families, and communities to promote health, prevent disease, maintain health, and cope with illness and disability with or without the support of a health worker. Now that's deep. right? So we talked about the short definition before, but now the World Health Organization has expanded that to not just an individual, but to families and communities, because they see that when you work on an individual, that just percolates and perpetuates, right? Just like when you don't focus on individuals, that percolates and perpetuates. Therefore, we have rundown cities. We have people with systemic health diseases that are happening in certain regions because of the stress and the issues that are going on within that space. Last thing that I want to read to you. Currently, 3.6 billion people, half of the world, lack access to essential health services. The World Health Organization recommends self-care interventions for every country and economic setting as a critical path to reach universal health coverage, promote health, keep the world safe, and serve the vulnerable. So, I don't know about you, but that's powerful. To take this thing that in the beginning we were all thinking that, oh, she just wants to go get her nails done, to, oh my gosh, this is something that can affect the world in a very positive manner, or it can continue to decline humanity. And so as you think of it in that aspect, men, women, please get out there and take a concerted effort to improve your self-care. And that does not mean go spend hundreds and thousands of dollars. That means figure out where you're at, be self-aware, and then put practices in place to help you in your mental space as well as your physical space, so that you can show up in the world the way that you want to and you need to show up. All right, folks, this is Michelle Pierre. This has been a wonderful episode with Miss Tanieka, and we are signing off from Espresso Unicorn, our Black Voices podcast. You guys take care, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, yes, go ahead, Tanieka. Making a movie night, self-care movie. And just check out Bay Night and Just My Type. Shameless plug.
That's it. You heard it here. Bay Night and Just My Type. Okay, so make it a movie night. Grab you some popcorn or maybe some celery sticks or something, whatever it is. But sit down and enjoy yourselves, and you guys have a great night. And it is airing on Prime, right? Is that what I heard?
And Just My Type is on Tubi.
And on Tubi. Okay, you guys take care. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.